millions across Spain and Portugal are grappling with the aftermath of an unprecedented power outage that struck the entire Iberian Peninsula on Monday, April 28, 2025. Commencing sharply around 12:33 p.m. local time, the blackout instantly paralyzed essential services, halting trains nationwide and requiring complex evacuations, snarling traffic, shutting down communication networks, and forcing hospitals onto backup generators. Spain declared a national emergency. While the exact cause remains under intense investigation as of Tuesday, April 29th, gradual restoration efforts, partly relying on power imports from France and Morocco, are underway amidst widespread disruption and concerns the outage could persist. This massive grid failure reveals critical vulnerabilities in national and interconnected European energy infrastructure. Beyond the immediate chaos and economic disruption, the event forces urgent reviews of grid resilience, security protocols against potential unknown causes, and cross-border energy dependencies, likely impacting future energy policy and investment across the continent while highlighting public anxiety about essential service reliability. Turning now to North America, results were confirmed following Canada's 45th federal election held on Monday, April 28, 2025. Prime Minister Mark Carney's Liberal Party secured victory late Monday and early Tuesday, navigating a campaign significantly influenced by U.S. relations and pointed rhetoric from President Donald Trump, including Election Day suggestions of Canada becoming the 51st U.S. state. The election, called on March 23rd, saw the Liberals prevail over Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives amidst voter concerns about the economy, cost of living, and the persistent trade tensions with the United States. The Liberal win suggests a preference for perceived stability, yet the re-elected government faces the immediate complex task of managing economic headwinds, potentially exacerbated by U.S. policies, while asserting Canadian sovereignty against external political pressure. This election highlights the challenging dynamics of the critical U.S.-Canada relationship, requiring careful diplomacy moving forward. Meanwhile, tensions between India and Pakistan remain critically high following the deadly April 22nd terrorist attack in Pahalgam, Indian-administered Kashmir. In the days since, sustained cross-border firing has plagued the Line of Control, LOC, with ceasefire violations reported for at least 5 consecutive nights, up to Tuesday, April 29th in sectors like Kupwara and Baramulla. Pakistan's defense minister asserted around April 28th that an Indian military incursion was imminent, referencing nuclear deterrence. India, blaming Pakistan for backing the Pahalgam attackers, responded militarily to the LOC firing and banned several Pakistani YouTube channels citing propaganda. This dangerous cycle of a major terror attack, followed by sustained military skirmishes, underscores the extreme fragility of the situation between the two nuclear-armed states. The lack of de-escalation raises the tangible risk of miscalculation, leading to a larger conflict with devastating regional consequences, further dimming prospects for diplomatic progress on long-standing disputes like Kashmir. In maritime news, the U.S. Navy is investigating an incident that occurred on Monday, April 28, 2025, aboard the aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman in the Red Sea. An FA-18E Super Hornet fighter jet, valued at $60–70 million, was lost overboard while being towed within the hangar bay. Navy officials reported that the moving crew lost control of the aircraft, causing both the jet and its tow tractor to fall into the sea. Fortunately, the personnel involved evacuated safely with only one minor injury reported. The loss of a sophisticated fighter jet during routine non-combat operations, especially in the strategically vital and operationally busy Red Sea, highlights the inherent risks of carrier operations. While accidental, the incident represents a significant material loss and prompts reviews of aircraft handling procedures and safety protocols aboard naval vessels operating under high-tempo conditions. Shifting focus to Eastern Europe and geopolitical alliances, Russian President Vladimir Putin, in a significant public statement on Monday, April 28, 2025, officially acknowledged and praised the combat role of North Korean soldiers assisting Russian forces in the Kursk region bordering Ukraine. This confirmation from Moscow aligned with North Korea's own affirmation of its military deployment, citing obligations under the June 2024 Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Treaty's Mutual Defense Clause. The deployment reportedly involves specialized units and follows Ukraine's earlier incursion into Kursk Oblast. This open confirmation signals a material deepening of the military alliance between Moscow and Pyongyang. It provides Russia tangible battlefield support while raising serious international alarm regarding potential violations of UN sanctions and the further protraction of the Ukraine war. This development underscores a strengthening alignment challenging Western interests and potentially altering security dynamics in both Europe and Northeast Asia. In the United States, Tuesday, April 29th, 2025 marks the 100th day of President Donald Trump's second term, with the administration highlighting its focus on border security and immigration control. Recent reports indicate Republican lawmakers are seeking to grant the president broad powers to impose hefty fees, potentially $1,000 or more per application, on migrants seeking asylum. This push for stricter border measures and asylum regulations comes alongside other domestic political developments, including a reported discrimination probe launched by the Trump administration against the Harvard Law Review. These actions reflect the administration's continued emphasis on immigration enforcement and its confrontational stance towards institutions perceived as oppositional. The focus on border policies on the 100-day mark signals its ongoing centrality to the administration's agenda, likely continuing to fuel intense national debate and legal challenges regarding immigration rights and executive authority. Turning to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, Israeli military operations continued in the Gaza Strip on Monday, April 28th, and Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. Reports indicate ongoing activities, particularly focusing on the southern city of Rafah, resulting in further Palestinian casualties. International pressure remains high on Israel regarding humanitarian aid access and the high civilian death toll. Concurrently, legal challenges concerning Israel's aid policies in Gaza were reportedly being addressed at the International Court of Justice. The persistent conflict continues to exact a devastating human toll, particularly on civilians trapped in the densely populated enclave. The focus on Rafah heightens fears of a larger-scale ground offensive in the area sheltering many displaced persons, while international legal and diplomatic pressure attempts to mitigate the humanitarian crisis and push towards a ceasefire facing immense obstacles. In Ukraine, the war continues with reports of further Russian attacks on Monday, April 28th and Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. Russian airstrikes reportedly hit targets in Kyiv and caused significant casualties in Kryvyi Rih following strikes late last week. On the ground, Russian forces were reported to have captured the village of Basivka in the Sumy Oblast. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Zelensky dismissed a recent three-day truce proposal announced by President Putin as an attempt at manipulation. The relentless nature of Russian attacks underscores the ongoing threat to Ukrainian cities and civilian populations. Russia's incremental ground gains, like the reported capture of Basivka, highlight the grinding attritional nature of the war in the east and north. Zelensky's rejection of the truce proposal reflects deep mistrust and the unlikelihood of near-term negotiated settlements, while hostilities remain intense. Moving to Southeast Asia, consumers in the Philippines face higher costs as a nationwide fuel price hike took effect today, Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. This marks the second consecutive week of price increases, driven primarily by international factors including U.S. sanctions on Iran's oil network and lower U.S. crude inventories, according to the Department of Energy. This sustained rise in fuel costs is expected to ripple through the Philippine economy. Increased transportation expenses will likely push up the prices of essential goods and services, adding further strain to household budgets already grappling with inflation. This poses challenges for both consumers and businesses reliant on transport, potentially dampening economic activity and increasing pressure for government intervention or subsidies. Also in the Philippines, the government forcefully refuted claims made by China regarding the disputed South China Sea. On Monday, April 28th or Tuesday, April 29th, 2025, officials including the National Security Council spokesman denied reports from Chinese state media and the China Coast Guard alleging that China had seized control of Sandy Cay, Pagasa Cays. Philippine officials labeled the Chinese claims as false information, intended to intimidate Filipinos, and asserted continued Philippine presence and sovereignty assertions in the area. This sharp rebuttal highlights the ongoing tensions and maritime disputes between the Philippines and China in the South China Sea. Such conflicting narratives and actions underscore the fragility of regional stability and the challenges in managing competing sovereignty claims over vital waterways and features, maintaining a high potential for diplomatic friction or maritime incidents. From Vatican City, officials announced recently that the conclave to elect a successor to the late Pope Francis will commence on Wednesday, May 7, 2025. Preparations are underway, including the traditional closing of the Sistine Chapel to visitors as cardinals from around the world prepare to gather in Rome for the historic election process. The setting of a firm date marks a significant step following the period of mourning and administrative transition, sede vacante. This event will capture global attention, not only from Catholics but also from observers interested in the future direction of the papacy concerning theological, social, and geopolitical issues. The outcome will shape the Catholic Church's trajectory for years to come. Tragic news comes from Nigeria, where at least 26 people were killed, likely on Tuesday, April 29, 2025, or shortly before, when a truck reportedly struck a high-caliber improvised explosive device, IED, on a road. Military sources confirmed the deadly incident, which highlights the persistent security challenges posed by militant groups and explosive remnants of conflict in parts of the country. Such attacks cause devastating loss of life and instill fear in local communities, underscoring the urgent need for improved security measures, counter-terrorism efforts, and clearance of explosive devices to protect civilians and enable safe movement and economic activity in affected regions. On the diplomatic front, foreign ministers from the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and newer members, concluded 2 days of talks in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, on Monday, April 28th, or Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. A key focus of the meeting was reportedly forging a united stance and coordinating responses to the aggressive trade policies and tariffs enacted by the United States under President Trump. The gathering aimed to strengthen economic cooperation within the bloc and project a counterweight to U.S. economic pressure. This meeting signifies the increasing efforts by the BRICS group to assert its collective influence on the global stage and develop alternative frameworks for international trade and finance. The degree to which they can form a truly united front against U.S. policies could significantly impact global trade dynamics and geopolitical alignments. In South America, a dispute over access to gold deposits in the La Paz department of Bolivia reportedly escalated into violent clashes between rival groups of miners around Monday, April 28th, or Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. Initial reports indicated at least 6 people were killed, with several others missing, highlighting the dangers associated with informal or contested mining operations in resource-rich areas. Such conflicts over valuable resources can quickly turn deadly, often fueled by economic desperation and lack of clear regulation or enforcement. This incident underscores the socio-economic challenges and potential for violence linked to extractive industries in parts of Bolivia, requiring intervention to mediate disputes and ensure safer, more regulated mining practices. An unusual case emerged in the United States, reported on Tuesday, April 29, 2025, involving a nail salon worker who allegedly held 13 simultaneous remote IT jobs, earning nearly $1 million in salaries over time. Authorities claim the actual software development work was performed by North Korean operatives based in Shenyang, China, with the US-based individual acting as a front. The scheme was uncovered, leading to arrests. This elaborate fraud highlights the increasing sophistication of illicit schemes exploiting remote work vulnerabilities and potentially leveraging sanctioned North Korean IT labor for financial gain. It raises significant concerns about identity verification, corporate security protocols in remote hiring, and the methods used by North Korea to bypass international sanctions and generate revenue through illicit cyber activities. In automotive technology news, Hyundai Motor Company unveiled its new X-Scient fuel cell truck, a Class 8 heavy-duty hydrogen-powered vehicle at the Advanced Clean Transportation ACT Expo in Anaheim, California, on Tuesday, April 29, 2025. This launch showcases Hyundai's ongoing commitment to expanding its hydrogen fuel cell technology and business, particularly targeting the North American commercial trucking market. The introduction of new hydrogen-powered, heavy-duty trucks represents a step towards decarbonizing the logistics and transportation sector, a major source of emissions. While challenges like hydrogen infrastructure and cost remain, such developments are crucial for advancing zero-emission solutions in commercial transport and contributing to broader climate goals. Turning to financial markets, the price of gold experienced a significant slump, reported on Tuesday, April 29, 2025. Some reports indicated a drop of around 1,000 Indian rupees per 10 grams in the Indian market, reflecting weaker global trends for the precious metal. The price was cited around 98,400 rupees per 10 grams. Fluctuations in gold prices are often driven by factors like changes in interest rate expectations, US dollar strength, geopolitical uncertainty, and investor sentiment towards risk assets. A significant slump can impact investors holding gold, jewelry markets, and even central bank reserve valuations, reflecting shifting perceptions of global economic stability and inflation prospects. In bilateral relations, the Philippines and Japan signed an agreement for a $150 million scholarship program. News confirmed on Tuesday, April 29, 2025. This initiative aims to provide educational opportunities, likely for Filipino students, fostering closer ties and human resource development between the two nations. Such programs represent positive diplomatic engagement, strengthening cultural and educational links. They offer valuable opportunities for individuals while reinforcing the strategic partnership between the Philippines and Japan, contributing to regional cooperation and mutual understanding through investment in human capital. As part of ongoing military cooperation, the United States deployed NMESIS anti-ship missile systems to Batanes, Philippines. Reports confirmed around April 27th to 29th, 2025. This deployment occurred within the framework of the annual Balikatan joint military exercises between the U.S. and the Philippines. The presence of advanced U.S. weaponry like the Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System in strategic locations like Batanes near Taiwan underscores the strengthening defense alliance amid regional tensions, particularly concerning maritime security in the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. This move enhances interoperability but also signals deterrence and potentially contributes to the complex security calculus in the Indo-Pacific region. Finally, in the tech world, OpenAI announced enhancements to its ChatGPT model on Monday, April 28th or Tuesday, April 29th, 2025, enabling it to assist users in finding products online. This development positions the popular AI chatbot more directly as a competitor to traditional search engines like Google, particularly in the lucrative area of e-commerce search and product discovery. This move signifies the ongoing evolution of large language models beyond conversational AI into more direct transactional and informational roles. It intensifies competition in the search market, potentially impacting online advertising revenue streams and pushing further innovation in how users discover and interact with products and services online, while also facing scrutiny similar to search giants regarding market dominance.